Morning, 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 guys. Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I'm Sean Butler. She is Bugsy Malone. This is episode 76 of Tottenham Walks. And it is Monday, the 2022 version of October the... something or other. 21st, 22nd? Whatever. It's the day after game day. This is the game day review. First and foremost, guys, as always, I hope you are happy, healthy, and doing the things that you love. If you wouldn't mind doing me one favour, and that is to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell on the channel. And also drop a comment afterwards. Let me know whether or not you agree with everything I'm about to get off my chest. And if you do, in parts, let me know in which parts you do and don't. And if you disagree vehemently and think, Sean, you weren't watching the same game as I was, bro, tell me why. I tell you what though, let's get going on it. Watching the game and then looking at the Twitter reaction and the YouTube channels, people coming on, saying their piece, I really don't think it was as bad as people are making out. I think there is a lot of reactionary over-egging of the pudding. Look, I'm going to start by saying there was a lot of the phrase good, the bad and the ugly, I think, involved in what happened yesterday. But I want to start, before I even get into the good, the bad or the ugly, I want to kind of just briefly mention the reality of our squad. Like 100%, we know that the players that are in the squad in certain positions are not good enough. We know that generally that the players that have bad games are often the players that have low ceilings. But there is plenty of room for improvement in the players that are good enough as well. Form is a factor, and all too often this season, had our best players, the players that do have the competence, been at the races, I don't think we would be moaning as much about the football that is on offer. The moves that we try to create often break down because of poor form, frequent poor form by important players that we do value, as much as by mistakes from weak players that we don't. So I just want to get that off my chest. And the other thing I want to get off my chest is, because no one's really talking about it, look, I know that injuries are a factor that every team has to handle, and it's a luck element that, you know, you either get very unlucky or you can get very fortunate, but it's something that you shouldn't use as an excuse. But there's a difference between excuses and explanations, and I do think that it's worth remembering, and not enough Tottenham fans, am I hearing, factor this in to the conversation around how displeased they are with everything that's going on at Tottenham Hotspur. I can't remember us ever having a season with so many injuries to so many players affecting our team at one particular point in time, or at any particular point in time. And I really can't remember any other team this season or in recent memory having as many injuries as we've had so early in the season. Just to name off the top of my head players that are either unavailable now or unavailable or have been unavailable at some point, whether they've missed a game or not, they've carried knocks, and we've read about them in the paper. Hugo Lloris, Sessegnon, Perisic. Those three have always, especially Sessegnon and Perisic, they may not have missed too many games through injury, but there's always that rumour that they're icing their calf muscle or something's happened to their hamstring or whatever, and they might not be 100% fit. They might not be playing 100% fit. The same with Lloris, he had that knock in the international break. So I'm not going to be saying that these guys are necessarily on the injury table, but they have had knocks that are considered. But the rest of these guys I'm about to mention have all been out of action at some point. Romero has had 2 injuries now, twice. In 10 weeks, he's been injured. Ben Davies chipped a bone in his knee. Matt Doherty has missed the first 2 months of the season and the last 2 months of last season because of an ongoing injury. Ollie Skip still recovering from his injury. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg now has an injury. Lucas Moura, a long-term injury. Dejan Kulusevski looks like a long-term injury. Richarlison, a long-term injury. It's an insane amount of injuries to some of our most key players. The only people in our squad that haven't had an injury, as far as I can tell. Oh, I'll even throw in Eric Dyer, because he hobbled off, didn't he, again in the Frankfurt game. The only and was maybe playing unfit. The only player that I can remember, the only players that I remember not having injuries is Bentancur, is Sonny, Sanchez, and Harry Kane. Oh, and Emerson. But Emerson's been missing through suspension. To me, I think that there is a massive slice of reality that needs to be factored in. To think that we're still third in the league, and that we are top of the Champions League group in mid-October, late October, having had all the injuries that we've had, having had the bad form from key players throughout the season, and having the relatively weak squad that we have to work with, I think that we've done remarkably well considering the circumstances. I listened to Antonio Conte last night saying, it's phase 1 of a long process, guys. I need patience. I'm willing to give it. Listen, I'm still going to call out the poor football when I see it, because I'm a fan channel, and I think that we're capable on our day of playing better football than the football is on show. But I'm not calling for Conte to leave. I am back Conte 100%, and I'm 100% behind Daniel Levy and ENIC, first and foremost withdrawing the £50 million tranche that they still have left from that 150 that they didn't take, and then getting another 100 million from wherever, and then giving it to Paratici and Conte to get business done in January. I don't care if it costs 15% more in January, because it's January. Figure it out. We are in a massive top 4 race. I think we can put the title nonsense story to bed. But if we can figure it out, if we can scrape through until the World Cup, in January we can get reinforcements in. There's a whole bunch of players that are out of contract in the summer where deals can probably happen now, and Tottenham need to act on it. People like Eric Dyer, this is where I'm going to get back into the game now. People like Eric Dyer's form, guys, just absolutely shocking recently, and his form has dipped, and his class as a player isn't up to the standard. Hugo Lloris's form again, I know he was great against United, but both of those two combined yesterday to deliver weak performances that ultimately cost us. Distribution from Lloris, shocking. I don't even want to talk about that goal. Look, the only thing I would say is that on another day, that could have gone the other way. Right? The referee could have given it as a free kick. So I won't go as far as to say it's a 50-50, but you've seen them given. And I think that, it's little moments like that that change the game, right? If you're playing away from home and you get a 1-goal lead, then you immediately reshape and become more stubborn. Newcastle are already a fantastic defensive team. They've conceded the fewest goals in the Premier League this season, and they were just brilliant defensively last night. Very, very good. And then, of course, more problems for the second goal. The distribution was weak, and then the transition that happened that lost the ball allowed Almiron to run at pace at a standstill version of Clement Longley, and I don't blame Longley for that, because it was the transition that caught him out, and there's no way that he could have run backwards in that quick amount of time to be able to keep up with Almiron, who was running with confidence and real ability. Then you go 2-0 down and you think, well, that's it, the Newcastle shut shop, and it was always going to be hard. But listen, there was a lot of positives, I thought. First and foremost, that we did have better possession than Newcastle. We had more shots than them. We had more aerial possession, more aerial duels won. We had more ground duels won. I think most of the midfield had far fewer dispossessions or lost possessions than their opposite numbers. I thought that Ollie Skip, was really bright in the first half, trying to be that transition guy, trying to be the bridge between the midfield and the attack when the team was so bereft of options and so limited in numbers because of these injuries that we have. I thought Ollie Skip came in and did a really good job, like a real nice positive to see him playing so well. I thought Bentancur had another great game, and I thought Bissouma had a great game as well. I thought the midfield competed, admirably with Newcastle's midfield three, and they were very, very good. Newcastle are a very good team, make no mistake about it. Obviously it's disappointing, it's devastating that we've lost our home record now. We're no longer the fortress that we were becoming, and that now gives me a lot less confidence for the Liverpool game when they come to town in a couple of weeks' time. But look, it was disappointing more because of the individual mistakes that I think led then to changes in the dynamic of the game when Newcastle have something to protect and sit in. But generally speaking, I thought we were competitive and combative. It was nothing like as bad as against Manchester United. Manchester United was just a shit show from start to finish. But if you look at the reaction on Twitter and on YouTube channels last night, it feels like it's the end of the world. And I just don't think it was that bad. I do think a second goal was coming. If I'm not going to sit here and blame time wasting, right? But the idea that there was only 5 minutes of injury time, I remember I was watching the clock. From the 71st minute until the 81st minute, the ball was in play about 90 seconds. And yet they only managed to find 5 minutes of injury time the entirety of second half. It was absolute shambles. The time wasting spot on from Newcastle, like they do what they've got to do, but I don't know how the fourth official only found 5 minutes. There should have been at least 10, in my opinion. And look, I think if you had another 15 minutes, Tottenham could have and maybe snuck an equaliser. I'm not saying that Newcastle weren't worthy of the 3 points, they probably were, but I just don't think it deserved the reaction that it got. I think it was, a lot of people are super frustrated right now and either, as usual, throwing their ammunition all down one person's throat, whether it's Levy or Conte. For me, as I've always said, I don't think you blame the owner after every performance, because it means that you're just not even analysing the game, you're just pushing a narrative. But I also think that Conte is limited with what he can do with the squad that he has available and the squad that he has even when everyone's fit. There clearly needs to be loads of work. Defensively, we are shambolic at times. I think most of the players in our back five wouldn't get into some of the mid-table teams in the Premier League, and that's clearly a problem. If you fix the defence, I think it allows the players we have further up the field to feel more confidence to be able to go and play better football. And on that basis, I think that we really need to spend the majority of our money this January, if there is, what I hope there will be, enough to go around. We really need to go and find two centre-backs, I think, that are, of that next level. Whether it be Skriniar or De Vrij, whoever, we need someone to come in that has fewer mistakes in their game, that has leadership, more confidence, and just a general level of higher quality than we currently have. And I think if you fix those gaps, as I said, everything can move with more confidence up the pitch. I think, what else have I got to say about it? Look, on individual levels, I didn't think Emerson played badly at all yesterday. I thought he was okay. But the bench did look absolutely, you know, bare, didn't it? And for me, that's a, you know, again goes back to the lack of quality, but also the amount of injuries. It is important. Conte's asking for patience. I'm certainly willing to give him patience. I'm not sure how much more patience I want to give to some of the players, though. I think some of the players in the squad have proven time and time again to have too many mistakes in them. And it's mistakes that create chances, that lead to goals, that change games, and then you're chasing. I don't think Tottenham played horrendously yesterday. I think that we're overreacting a little bit on the performance of the team. The performance of the individuals, 100%. Some of them were just awful. But there's positives as well, as I say, guys. Some of them were good. Ollie Skip looked really good. Bissouma and Bentancur looked good again. It's nice to see that Højbjerg can step out of the game and we have somebody else to come in who I would say grabbed the ball by the horns. Look, we've got another game coming up in 48 hours time. So we just got to rub this one off, chalk it off to, you know, whatever. And we go again, guys, we go again. I am Conte in, I am hashtag back Conte, I am hashtag LEVY spend, ENIC spend, and I'm always happy to reassess my position on things with new information comes to light. If we don't do things in January, then my patience will be very much tested with regards to the ownership. But one thing I do want to point out before I let you go is that Tottenham's financial results are coming out on November the 21st. So I'll be doing a massive long day of reading through that 50-page accounting booklet, and I'll be doing a massive breakdown of it to let everybody know who's interested where it looks like we stand financially. I love you all, guys. Like, share and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on the game. And as always, guys, as always, bye-bye.